A recent study shows that Singapore has the second highest rent in the world.
How do you take advantage of that? Knowing that fact, stay tuned. Welcome back. We came across this interesting article on Singapore Business Review just recently, which states that the Singapore rent is the second most expensive in the world. And how do we actually take advantage of that? How do we actually become landlords in that case?
To become a landlord in Singapore, you have to be invested in a condo because if you buy a HDB, there are a lot of rules and restrictions.
Now, we have 4 factual tips to share with you guys. Fact number 1.
A lot of people think that getting HDB loan is easy, but actually you can borrow twice as much for a private condo. Why is that so?
Because when you take a HDB loan, there's something known as an MSR of 30%. But for private condos, you're only limited to the TDSR of 60%. To put it in a very simple context, if your income is $1,000, you can only service your HDB loan with $300. But if you are taking a private bank loan for a private resale purchase, you can use up to $600 to service your loan.
If you're confused, just feel free to give us a call.
Yes.
We can calculate your MSR or TDSR based on that.
Now, fact number 2 over here.
Cooling measures benefit first-timer. Why is that so?
Because for Singapore citizens, there is no ABSD if they're buying their first property. Why not take this opportunity to invest in a property?
This is actually a policy by the government to help first-timer Singaporeans to buy their first property. So for those who haven't owned a property and you are in a good financial state, you should consider buying a property.
Definitely, right. Yes. Okay. Now, fact number 3, private condo has more flexibility. By that, we mean there are actually less restrictions than HDB. Number 1, there is no MOP period for private condos.
MOP means a minimum occupation period.
But for private condo, there is no such restriction.
Technically speaking, if you buy a condo today, you can sell tomorrow.
Yes.
But that one, of course, doesn't make economical sense because there'll be a seller's stamp duty.
And for private condos, you're able to buy under a single name.
You're free to buy under single name. You can buy with friends. There's no restrictions. Unlike HDB, you have to form a new family nucleus.
There are also refinance options known as a term loan.
For this refinance option, it means that for those buyers who own a condo, assuming that the condo is fully paid out, you can actually take a term loan and cash out. That means you don't have to sell away a condo for the money.
Not applicable for HDB.
That's right. We call it term loans for such loans.
And also for private condos, decoupling is allowed.
This point 4 is when the couple wants to buy a second property. Because if you don't decouple, you'll be liable for ABSD, additional buyer stamp duty.
And the last point for this is you can buy under a trust for private property. The child must be below 21, and if you buy under trust, Dennis has done a video for that before. You can go check that out.
That's a strategy for owning a third property without paying the ABSD.
Fact number 4. Do you guys know that you only need 5% cash to buy a condo?
For first-time condo buyer.
First-time condo buyers. The reason is because when you are a first-time owner, you can loan up to 75%.
5% cash, 75% can be loan, and about 20% will be your CPF. This is a real case study where this buyer bought in 2021 a studio at the Park Place. The purchase price was 968k and the rental was 3,000 per month.
Oh.
Okay, so based on the monthly repayment, which is about 2,500, actually the buyer doesn't have to pay anything for the mortgage installment. But one thing to bear in mind is that this is a resale. So for those buyers who are looking to buy a new condo, the quantum might be higher. For most of the cases, the renter might not be able to fully cover the mortgage installment. Yeah, so be prepared for that. So the idea is that collect rent in cash and pay the loan with CPF. Your tenant is helping you to maintain this mortgage loan, and you are taking cash because you are paying the mortgage buyer's CPF. For any questions, feel free to give us a call at the number below so that we can help you do your calculations or give you a one-to-one advice.
Before you get too excited, do note that there are some checklists you have to do before you buy a condo. There are 3 steps that we have mentioned over here. Check number 1. Is your income stable or not?
You only need 5% cash to pay for the condo. But is your job stable?
Yes.
Is your income stable? Because you're going to pay the loan for the next 20 to 30 years itself.
That's correct, yes. The second point would be calculate your finances.
You have to estimate, should I be looking for a 1 million condo or 1.2 million condo?
And for the third point, be prepared to service your loan for the next 20 to 30 years.
This is the mother of all factors because bear in mind that once you sign on the dotted line for the OTP, you have to be prepared to pay for these loans for the next 20 to 30 years, likely until you are 65 years old.
Because after all, buying a condo is a big ticket item.
This will be the biggest psychological barrier because I think a lot of people have the cash, but they might not be prepared to pay for the 30 years loan. But to me, it's a matter of do you want to work hard now or work hard later? When you're young, you can take more loans.
Yes.
Okay, on the day that you sign for this option to purchase, you will likely have to be prepared to work harder. For men, spend less on the car, spend less on the watches. For ladies, buy less branded bags and maybe eat at hawker center mall. These are the forced saving that you enjoy throughout the journey.
Ultimately, I believe that you'll pay off in the long run. Now, but when it comes to investing, there are actually two choices. You can go for new or you can go for resale.
Right. Generally, most people will feel that resale is cheaper. It's true that the median price for new launch is higher than resale. And so most people might consider resale as a first purchase. Here, we're going to share why new condo is better for investment.
Yes.
And we're going to share you 3 factual differences.
For the very first difference, it will be the interest rate. Do you guys know that for a new condo, the interest rate is actually on the lower side? As you can see over here, barely above 1%.
For this calculation, we are basing on the fact that this is a 1 million property, and you can take the 30 years loan, and the interest rate is 1.01%. This is one of the key reasons why a lot of people are going to buy property, because interest rate is very low. No point putting the money in the fixed deposit.
Difference number 2, which I personally believe is the biggest difference of all,
Right, payment schedule.
the payment schedule. So for resale, you offer 1%, you exercise your option within 14 days, and within 8 to 10 weeks, you pay off everything else. Which means the day that you get your key, you start paying the monthly installment in full straight away. But this is very different compared to a new launch condo where the payment is progressive.
In simple terms, right, a resale typically takes 3 months to complete. So you need to prepare the 100% payment on the day of completion, which is like you 3 months later.
That's correct, yes. So basically what we're trying to say is that when it comes to new launches, right, you actually can take your time to pay and the commitment is not so too heavy.
For new condo, they call it progressive payment because you are paying in stages. The condo is not built yet. So this is a chart that we need to explain a bit. When you buy a condo, the first step, I call it stage A. You're paying 5% plus 50% within 8 weeks. That's stage A. After stage A, 1 year later, where they call it the completion of foundations work, one you pay a 10% more. So along the way, from second payment to the 8th payment, you pay only up to 85%. You only pay the last 15% 1 year after TOP. The whole thing is called progressive payment. It might sound a bit complex, so you need to have a one-to-one chat with us. Just give us a call.
Feel free to give us a call anytime. Now, as you can see from this graph over here,
we zoom into the stage B.
Yes, we zoom into stage B, where you can see that progressively the monthly installment actually increases, but it's still better than paying the whole lump sum within 3 months compared to a resale property.
This new condo will attract those younger people who have less cash, but they have a big dream or passion. Hey, I don't have that much money now, but because this new condo allows me to pay progressively, so give you a target.
Difference number 3, capital appreciation. This is the factor that will actually sway most people to go towards new launches rather than resale. Now, we are taking Pasir Ris for this case because there was a very hot launch recently there known as Pasir Ris 8, so we are using the Pasir Ris area for this example.
Nearby.
The first condo we are going to be choosing will be known as Coco Palms because Coco Palms was the last new launch before Pasir Ris 8. So as you can see from this graph over here, from 2014 to 2018, which was from launch to TOP, it has increased to about 5.29% a year. Let's take a look at this graph over here. 128 profitable transactions.
We showed this table during the Pasir Ris 8 live review.
Yes, correct. And as you can see, this is the zero part is what I love the most. That is zero unprofitable transaction. What if you choose to buy a resale back in 2014?
That means during the time when Coco Palms were launched, you've chosen to buy a nearby condo, a nearby resale condo, like MV Residence.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be making a loss of 15%.
Now, people who may say that we are choosing condos to make our data look nice, it's not true because MV Residences is really right beside Coco Palms, so therefore it's a fair comparison. And we're not just taking MV as an example, we're taking the next neighboring project, the Palette, for example. If you bought the Palette from 2014 to 2018, then you lost 6%, you know, as compared to making a gain if you have bought Coco Palms.
Putting the numbers aside, let's use an example to illustrate this scenario. When you buy a new launch, you're not getting the keys to the condo anytime soon. For new launch, it takes about 3 to 4 years. These are the sacrifice that the buyer had to pay.
That's correct.
They're paying for nothing yet until TOP. So also there's a risk buying from floor plan. There's one more example that we can share why we felt that new launch is a better investment than resale.
Putting it into very simple layman context, if you were to buy from a developer at $1, okay, then you sell to the next owner for $1.40. Then suddenly the upside is quite limited when it comes to the second owner.
We call this a first owner advantage, assuming that this condo has only 10 units. Everyone bought at $1, like Manuel said. So maybe one of the first owner want to cash out and sell 1.4. So the subsequent buyer that bought from 1.4 also want to make a bigger profit.
Yes.
They might be thinking, I bought 1.4. Yeah, I hope to sell at 1.6, 1.8, even $2.
Correct.
But this dream will be dashed because you're facing a lot of competitions from the first batch owner, all bought $1.
Yes.
So in terms of cost advantage, you cannot beat them.
Yes.
To put things even worse, if one day you bought 1.4 and you say, yes, I want to sell 3 years later. But if you meet a first owner who is in financial distress, he might be thinking, oh, I need to cash out. I need to sell my property fast. I don't mind selling at 1.2. Because at 1.2, I still make money. But to the buyer who bought 1.4, your condo will enter into a negative sale or below value.
There are instances where resale is actually better as compared to new launches. And we are here to tell you these are the reasons why.
So when is resale better?
Okay, so as stated in the 4 reasons over here, buy to stay. What does buy to stay means? Means I'm an end user. I need a place to stay. I need a place now. Resale is better. Specific location. I want to be near my mom, near my dad, near my in-laws.
Because sometimes new launch might not be available in the place that you want, especially near to a school or near to your parents. Yep.
That's correct. Number 3, freehold investors. Now, not to say that there are no freehold new launches.
Less.
But there are less of them.
Yes, that's right.
And lastly, this one is the rare breed. En bloc investors.
These are the en bloc investors who look for old condos to buy because it's cheaper, and likely these condos are in very bad shape because are very run down. So this en bloc investor will buy and spend about 20-30k to renovate the whole place, refurbish and rent out, collect passive income, and then wait until en bloc. Okay, en bloc is not guaranteed, and what we did a video on how to spot the next en bloc. It shows that most condos in Singapore will not cross the 40-year mark. Most of them will have been en bloc by about 40 years old as a guide. But for en bloc investor, they have to bear in mind that they might have to wait because en bloc is not guaranteed, and it might happen today, it might happen 5 years later, or it might not happen.
If you have any questions and if you wonder how do I become a landlord, I just want you guys to know it is not an impossible.
Is a new launch better for you or resale? How to calculate your MSR or TDSR?
Give us a call and we will help you to realize your dreams.
Yes.
And we hope to see you soon.
Please like and subscribe to our video. Right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.